What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Chaos Walking, the newest film from director Doug Liman. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below any video you watch, including this one. So what exactly is Chaos Walking? Chaos Walking is this highly anticipated, long time in development gestating project that is a movie about an all-male civilization who has the ability to basically project their thoughts, project their feelings, everything that they think about through this like magical, mystical energy is able to project into the world, leaving them without the ability to hide secrets, to keep the stuff to themselves. And on top of that, this is an all-male civilization, so there are no females, and there's nobody around to copulate with, I guess you could say. They live on this planet called the New World, which looks very much like Saturn with all the rings. And so we have these individuals. The lead, of course, is Tom Holland's Todd's character, and of course, Mikkelsen, who plays the mayor, and of course his son, who's played by Nick Jonas, as well as Tom Holland's father, who's played by Demián Bichir. And with everything said and done, with everything going on, they've found the best ways to control it. But Tom Holland, who's young, has problems. We get what is essentially Tom Holland's Todd's character's first time seeing a female with the Daisy Ridley Viola character, who basically crash lands on the planet looking for like a place to settle because she's always been on a space station. And in essence, because of everything that goes down, especially with the Mads Mikkelsen character, the Tom Holland character Todd and the Daisy Ridley character Viola basically have to go on the run to look for a place to send a signal to, of course, Viola's space station to basically tell them this is a good planet to live on. And it leads to revelations and, things about the people where they've been living, so on and so forth. People pop up and whatnot. So with the synopsis out of the way now, this film has been highly anticipated for whatever reason. I know I said that in the beginning, but this film has had a very interesting kind of weird production cycle that has become one of the most interesting kind of thought-provoking films to come out in quite a while because of everything behind the scenes from it. When you think about a movie like this, and you think about something like the coward Robert Ford, who shot Jesse James, the movie with Brad Pitt, these are the types of movies that you hear so many things about. For instance, Doug Liman was brought in to direct this movie, had a bunch of writers who end up trying to rework the script, including John Lee Hancock, which I really like as a screenwriter. And then along the way, they needed to do like a lot of reshoots, like 8 weeks of reshoots for like $15 million. And I think Doug Liman had just kind of moved on. He was busy. Of course, Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland were busy doing Spider-Man and Star Wars. And so they brought in Fede Alvarez to direct the reshoots because, like I said, Doug Liman was probably busy. And it was a weird thing to see because it's a movie that people have really been looking forward to, have gained a cult following, wanting the trailer. There was a whole big movement, kind of like the Zack Snyder thing with the Justice League, where people just wanted the trailer to, were really excited by this film, whatever reason. And it's based off a Patrick Ness novel. He basically his Chaos Walking trilogy, and this is based off the first book, The Knife of Never Letting Go. But just to see this movie finally coming out and to finally gets a release date, to finally be done, it makes you kind of wonder, is this movie a beautiful disaster? Is it a horror show? Or is it actually kind of good, kind of like the coward Robert Ford who shot Jesse James movie, which actually ended up being a fantastic movie, and that movie took forever to develop. And I will say this without spoiling anything, the movie is, if you like Jumper, I think you'll enjoy this movie because this movie fits right there in the kind of Doug Liman sci-fi genre world. It's a movie that has a lot of potential with the world that it's created, with the whole, idea of people talking, and the thought bubbles and stuff like that. The fact that you have Tom Holland, who's a really good actor, and Daisy Ridley, who hadn't really done much outside of Star Wars at this point, but she's a pretty decent actress. And like I said, you have Mads Mikkelsen and Nick Jonas, who has finally come into his own as an actor. And it's a movie that has a lot of great talent behind it and a lot of great, directors behind it. And even though they brought in Fede Alvarez, I still think the movie, had a lot of potential behind it. The problem with the movie is the dialogue and the character motivations and the character arcs and how it's presented, and everything about this movie is, in essence, a beautiful disaster because it's beautiful to look at. It has intriguing ideas. It's set on a world that is not entirely unlike our own. It has the ideas of what happened to these females. It has the ideas of the thoughts that are coming out of these people's heads. But like I said, it's just so poorly written and it's so poorly developed that it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, there's this preacher who's played by David Oyelowo who is fascinating in what he's trying to do, but his character doesn't have much development. So he just feels like an over the top silly villain, and I didn't get on board with this character at all. You know, even Mads Mikkelsen, who has done some amazing work in the last few years, is underutilized. And don't get me started with Nick Jonas, who comes into this movie and just literally does nothing throughout the movie without sulking and kind of being a jerk and doing some really uncouth things. But his character just kind of disappears through half the movie, and you just don't see him very much. And it feels like somebody who was kind of coming into their own in the beginning, but it's just like a really weird character that feels kind of off-putting. And then you have, like I said, you know, you have Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley, who are fine in the movie, but there's just not much chemistry there, and there's just not much development there, and it never feels like a movie that's completely whole in what it's trying to do and what it's trying to say and how it's trying to present itself. You know, it has some cool moments, but there are like ideas and concepts that are presented that are kind of completely thrown out the window and are never come back to again. And I think that's why this movie took so long to develop, is because they just didn't know what they were doing with the project. I think when, you know, the studio saw what was going on with the project, they're like, oh, this isn't good. And they tried to salvage it the best way they could. I don't even know if Doug Liman had final say on this movie or not, or if Lionsgate took it over or what happened, but this movie is chopped all the bits. I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a director's cut or, you know, an ultimate cut come later on that actually puts back some of the pieces of the story back together. But I think overall it's a fascinating movie to watch. It's something that if it were on like TV as like a Saturday TV movie, I think that would be interesting, but it's not worth the $20 you're going to pay at the theater or the $10 or whatever it is. I don't think it really helps the careers of Daisy Ridley or Tom Holland at all. I think the other actors are wasted. And I think it's a story that has a lot of potential, but once again, similar to Jumper, it just doesn't execute very well on that premise and has a lot of weird characters and a lot of weird character motivations. So overall, I didn't really like this movie. I like the concept of the movie. I like the idea of, you know, projecting your thoughts, as terrifying as that sounds. But when you have so many concepts and they don't really go anywhere, that becomes what I call a beautiful disaster. So it has its moments. It will gain a following at some point where people will truly love this movie. But as a critic, I think I just have to go with a pass on this movie. It wasn't anything that great, and I kind of predicted it was coming. But I still had hold hope because it is great actors and a great director, and you know, even Fede Alvarez, like I said, who did the reshoots, is a great director. So you have to hold out hope. It does look beautiful. It's set on a beautiful world, and you know, sometimes it happens. So, but anyways, like I said, that's pretty much it. That's my take on Chaos Walking. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below. Were you anticipating this movie? Are you still excited to see this movie even after this review? Like I said, if I dampen your fun of this movie, I apologize, but you know, it is what it is. But anyways, let me know in the comments below if you do decide to see this movie. Tell me what you think. If you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit the notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as well, thank you Lionsgate for allowing me to see this early. Peace out, guys.